Blaze one for the nation.
KCBR AM Monument, K253AH Colorado Springs.
It's crazy, you heard me?
The new Blazing 98.5.
Well, good morning.
I need money. Well, good morning to you, too.
Your check come in yet?
I need my money.
I need money.
Are you saying that your vote could be bought?
No, but it can be stimulated.
I call it a stimulus package.
Stimulus plan. You want to hear it?
Stimulus package.
We're your stimulus packing morning show.
Money. I need money.
Packing all kinds of stimulation.
Let's get this show started.
Welcome into the Sports Guy Mike Show right here on KCBR 98.5, 95.7 AM 1040. Stimulus checks have gone out, y'all. If you got direct deposit, you're good to go. I know my wife got hers. Still waiting on mine. Sports Guy Mike Chris Braden hanging out with you. What's up, buddy?
Hey, man. So you did get your stimulus check?
My wife did. I didn't.
I didn't get nothing.
I didn't get squatola.
My daughters got theirs. They barely pay taxes.
See, that's the thing. It's like even people that didn't make enough money to pay to actually claim taxes, there's actually a link that you can go to and you click on it, and I guess you just put in your info and you'll get a stimulus check. So if you made less than, I believe it's $12,000, you can still get that.
Holy cow, we're in radio. That works, right?
Right? If you made less than 12 grand in 2018, then you qualify for this stimulus thing, even though you didn't have to file your taxes.
So does the link say, our bad, bro? And then you just click on it?
It should. I don't think it. I don't know. I haven't gone that far. I just read an article about it yesterday, and I was just like, wow.
A lot of people did.
I know. They're hitting direct deposit pretty doggone quick. So
yeah. Well, you know what? Go spend that money locally.
Spend it locally, or I mean, I'm guessing most people are going to spend it on bills. Is what I'm guessing.
Everyone's like giving you grace periods. Why are you paying them?
Well, that's the thing. Do you really want to take those grace periods and then all of a sudden, like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And then three months goes by, and on that fourth month, they're like, yeah, we're gonna need those 3 months worth of payments from you guys.
Like, no, dude. It's funny. So I've been lucky enough, thank you, Jesus, to be able to pay all my bills.
Right.
And I've been getting these emails and like, hey man, you don't want to pay it this month? I was like my car payment. I was like,
right.
No, I don't really ever want to pay it.
Pay that. Right?
But yeah, no, I'm with you 100% on that. And you know what? $1,200 is a lot, but $1,200 is not a lot. When you're paying bills,
dude.
I mean, that could be somebody's like heat bill.
Yeah, dude, that's not. I mean, that doesn't even cover my mortgage, bro.
It doesn't even cover me doing radio as a hobby. There's so much expense in it, you know?
I know.
There's little things here and there. My wife's always like, hey, what's this? And I'm like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to put it.
What are you spending it on now?
Exactly.
Today on the show, we're going to have RJ Ochoa is going to be joining us any moment here. He is the manager and editor-in-chief of bloggingtheboys.com, which is part of SB Nation, and they cover the Cowboys. And maybe, Chris Braden, we can get some answers to what in God's name is going on in Dallas, and what is Jerry and Stephen Jones thinking. He is going to join us here coming up momentarily.
I'm excited about that.
I am too. I'm hoping RJ can actually help us with our Dallas Cowboy woes that we've seemed to be having around here lately.
I just don't understand. That's all. Just fill me in.
Well, the other thing is too, I want to ask him because, obviously Dak Prescott backpedaled in regards to, what was reported. And who really should take the heat for all this is TMZ, because they're the ones that started that thing. But we'll ask RJ here in a second. Don't forget, y'all, even though April 15th has come and gone, I know it's not tax day anymore. They actually extended it out, but that's okay. Liberty Tax Service is here to help you, and make sure you give them a call. There's 2 offices here in Colorado Springs that will actually help you do what they call a remote return, and it's real easy to do. You scan all your docs, send it to them. They send you back a little thing that you sign electronically, and your taxes are done. You can give Beth and Jeremy a call at 719-495-4259. They're up in the Falcon location. They'll help you out, as well as Eugene and Mary Ellen over on Barnes Road will help you out as well. Do a remote return at 719-749-1120, or you can always call 866-871-1040, and it'll connect you to your local office. It's Liberty Tax, where you do life, they do taxes. Joining the Sports Guy Mike Show, as I said, he is he covers the Cowboys, and we've had way too many questions going on. So I reached out to RJ Ochoa. He is the manager and editor-in-chief over at bloggingtheboys.com. RJ, thanks for taking the time, buddy.
Of course, guys. Glad to be with you. Hope everything's going well, and you guys are doing well as well.
Hey, we're trying, man. We're hanging in there. How's everything out there in because you're in San Antonio, right?
That's correct. Yeah, everything's good. Socially distanced. Haven't driven a car in I don't know how long, and starting to understand why my dog gets so excited every time he hears a noise outside. But other than that, just watching movies and everything, and doing what we can.
Got to stay busy in this crazy time of quarantine. So, a couple questions, and first, of course, I'm going to ask you about Dak Prescott having the party. Did a lot of backpedaling. Said I only had 10 people at the house. He took a lot of heat, and this is, quite frankly, it's probably the first. I don't know if you want to call it a blemish, but look, I'm a fan of the guy. I watch him at Mississippi State only because I have some ties to that college, and I like the guy. I've always thought highly of him, but this was kind of the first thing that was kind of not squeaky clean, nice guy kind of look. He kind of went rogue, had a party during quarantine. What did you hear over there as far as what really went down?
Well, so obviously, we're in times that are very sensitive, and optics are really prevalent with a lot of people. And I think it should be mentioned that from an optics perspective, we prior to this report from TMZ, we had seen a photo of Dak working out with Des Bryant, some other people, a video of Dak throwing to Des, because after the photo was all these guys just kind of draped around each other, kind of like the cover of like a Entourage DVD season. And then the video was Dak throwing to Des, and the argument becomes, well, you're still touching the ball and things like that. And I'm not a scientist or a doctor by any means, so I certainly can't speak to how all this can transmit. But obviously, when this report first came out, a lot of people expressed some disappointment. To your point, Dak has generally been somebody that always errs on the right side. At least from an optical perspective, he's never caught with his hands in a proverbial cookie jar. And I think it's important to note that yesterday on Wednesday, NFL Network's Jane Slater, with some help from the Dallas Morning News the day before and whatnot, they kind of did some detective work and sort of proved that at the very least there was a photo of a table in the TMZ report. And it was table setting and all these plates, and so the discussion became, they're clearly sitting next to each other. According to Jane Slater, this was a photo from Nick and Sam's steakhouse, which is a great steakhouse in Dallas. So not a photo from this, alleged party or whatever. So I think that's important. But I do find it strange that Dak would be linked to anything like this. A story that it kind of brings to mind is 2 years ago, the Cowboys had a receiver named Ryan Switzer. They ultimately traded him away. But he got married, and Dak was there and a couple other Cowboys, and Switzer was on the dance floor, celebrating his marriage and feeling loose, and kind of had his phone out like he was doing a selfie, right? And there's a song on, and Switzer put his middle finger out, just I guess in the song lyrics or whatever. And Dak's in the shot, and he reaches out and grabs and covers Ryan Switzer's finger. And to me, I always took that as, okay, Dak is so keenly aware of every time he's behind a camera or in front of a camera, doesn't ever want to be associated with anything. So, I thought, and I still think, until we know the full absolute context of what went down, Dak has certainly earned the benefit of the doubt, but it was definitely interesting.
Yeah, It was, and it kind of almost took a life of its own. And speaking of Ryan Switzer, we appreciate you sending him over to us in Pittsburgh because I love the guy. I think he's a great utility player. So the other big thing is, speaking of Dak, is what's going on with this contract? Why isn't he signed? How far apart are the two sides, RJ? Is it like, from what I've heard, it's a matter of 4 years to 5 years. Dak wants to sign 4. Jerry and Steven want 5. Some people are scuttlebutting about that. It's a money thing. What is really going on with this contract, and why can't they get him signed?
Well, I think the length is sort of the biggest deal, and I think the reason for that, first of all, the Cowboys, sort of by tradition or preference, whatever you want to call it, if you look at every cornerstone player they've locked up to an extension in the last decade, it's typically a 5-year extension, 6-year extension. Tyron Smith was an 8-year extension.
Right.
So they like to get guys on the books for a long time. They like to have those contracts they can dip back into and kick the can down the road, so to speak. But I think the other thing that's important to note is Dak was obviously drafted in 2016 with Jared Goff and Carson Wentz, and both of them got their extensions last year. They both got 4-year extensions. However, because they're both first-round picks, they both have 5th-year options on their rookie deals. And technically, the 2020 season is that 5th-year option. Their extensions don't begin until the 2021 season, whereas whatever deal Dak signed will obviously begin starting now in the 2020 season. So if Jared Goff and Carson Wentz are locked up for 4 years starting in 2021, their contracts ride out through 2024. If you're the Cowboys and you lock up Dak through to a 4-year deal, he's going to hit free agency again a year before Jared Goff, a year before Carson Wentz, and he's theoretically going to reset the market again a year earlier. And so the Cowboys, again, I think by principle, don't want to set a precedent that they're going to do 4-year extensions because that gives them less control. But beyond that, they don't want Dak to hit free agency at this, a year before to be able to cash out. Because Dak's still very young. That will be a very sizable contract again. And so they want to put him on par, or on parallel, I should say, with Goff and Wentz. However, due to the fact that he wasn't a first-round pick, they can't. And if you're Dak, why would you surrender another year when you could hit free agency that much sooner? And I think in order to lock him down for that 5th year, they're going to have to up that guarantee. Jared Goff got $110 million in total guarantees. At the very least, I would imagine Dak's going to have to be higher than that if there is a deal worth 5 years.
So, RJ, Mike's a Steeler fan. Most of us in Colorado, a lot of us really wanted Dak Prescott in that draft, but we ended up with Paxton Lynch, which ended up being a dumpster fire. And, I wish Jerry Jones would have won that battle, to be honest with you. But the thing about Carson Wentz and Jared Goff that you brought up, they've had some playoff success where Dak hasn't. And I think Dak Prescott, for me, if I had to pick out of those 3, I would take him. But right now, the way that the Cowboys are playing the game, it's kind of like dirty pool. He's not making any money. In fact, is he making more money from Oikos than he is from the Cowboys right now?
Dak is certainly well compensated from Oikos, from Fritos, from a variety of places. And so, I think he's doing well. He did an interview the week of the Super Bowl on the Dan Patrick Show. And Dan Patrick asked, what's your dream car? I forget, I might be butchering the model, but he said, do you want an Aston Martin? And Dak was like, I've already got an Aston Martin. It was just kind of like, Dak's doing all right, obviously. Right. But I think, with regards to his draft mates, this is something we get into a lot of arguments with our followers and our readers and things like that. There's a debate, and if Cowboys Eagles week, I will denounce that I ever said this, but there's a debate between Dak and Carson Wentz. Carson's a very talented player. I think of all 3, the highest peak we've seen so far has been 2017 Carson Wentz. But you mentioned playoff success. Carson has technically not won a playoff game. Obviously got bounced from the last one due to injury. That was unfortunate. And Jared Goff's been to a Super Bowl, and that's something that a lot of people certainly lean on. But Jared Goff has also had Sean McVay. And I think that's probably, Dak is in such an interesting spot because if you are a believer, like many Cowboys fans are, that Dak was inhibited by Jason Garrett, it's interesting to consider what he'll look like under Mike McCarthy because, as mentioned, Goff has had McVay and Carson Wentz has had Doug Peterson. What's more, Carson Wentz also had Frank Reich, during that 2017 year. He also had, a variety of people. that the Jaguars offensive coordinator, his name is escaping me at the moment, John DeFilippo, that had a whole just nucleus and brain trust of people really helping him. And Dak has had Kellen Moore certainly the last season, but he is far removed from that level of prestige working behind the scenes for him.
He is RJ Ochoa. He is the manager and editor-in-chief over at bloggingtheboys.com, joining the Sports Guy Mike Show. Now, RJ, you wrote an article over on SB Nation about how Roger Goodell won't decide on Randy Gregory and Aldon Smith's reinstatement before the NFL draft. What's the word on that?
That was reported by Ed Werder of ESPN on Wednesday. And yeah, so obviously, we're speaking on Thursday. So the NFL draft begins next week. Kind of crazy how time flies that way.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to figure out how to watch The Last Dance and get everything done before Thursday. But I mean, I don't know. I think, so the Aldon Smith thing is really interesting. Obviously, Randy Gregory, it's been 5 years since he was drafted by the Cowboys. And so he's certainly battled different things. I think that it's and there's a lot of Cowboys fans rooting for Randy and rooting for Aldon as people and hoping that football can be a vehicle for them to get their lives back on track and whatnot. Right. But the Aldon Smith thing to me, and even Randy Gregory coupled in there, if the Cowboys are at all planning for them to be a big part of their, defensive end rotation, I mean, they need presence on the opposite side of DeMarcus Lawrence, then that's operating a bit irresponsibly to me. I mean, again, I think you have to approach Randy Gregory and Aldon Smith as the meal, like the Caesar salad you didn't know came with your meal. You know what I mean? Like you ever just you order your entree and they bring you the salad. Like, I didn't even know this came with a salad. This is awesome. And so I think that that's the best way because if they're planning on that and they're adjusting their draft strategy from the perspective of we don't need to draft and we don't need to take K'Lavon Chase on or whoever because we've got Randy Gregory, we've got Aldon Smith, and that's not exactly the most responsible way to go about it. And so I don't know why, Roger Goodell, needs this time. Obviously, we're all operating in different times and there's a lot happening with the NFL logistically. And so maybe that's just kind of changed, their approach here. But it does seem like it will remain a question mark, although there does seem to be a lot of hope that eventually they will get reinstated whenever that ultimately comes.
So, RJ, I wanted to talk about Zeke kind of threw a temper tantrum last year, held out while he was under contract, got his money. Amari gets his money. And Dak's sitting here being the good soldier last year, playing out his contract, yet to sign the tag on him. Like, what is going on? Is it all money, or are they just not sold on Dak? Like, that is, like, for me, everybody's getting paid except the guy that's under center.
I think that's a great point. And by the way, it's a great Bushwood flag behind you.
Thank you.
But
signed by Danny Noonan, by the way.
That's awesome. It was great to see the PJ Tour schedule get finalized today, hopefully. But so I mean, I don't at all doubt personally that the Cowboys believe in Dak Prescott, and I think that the fact that they're willing to commit a franchise tag value to him certainly implies that to me. But I do think these questions are fair. And this is sort of, and maybe the Cowboys, people love to accuse Jerry Jones of like headline grabbing and narrative stealing or whatever. Maybe this is all part of that, hypothetical or part of that cliche, so to speak. But these questions are fair. And if you operate this way, you invite these questions. And to your point, a year ago, there's a lot of football analysts and people on Twitter that don't believe in paying running backs. I mean, look at the Pittsburgh Steelers and what happened to Le'Veon Bell. Certainly, I mean, obviously in Colorado, the Broncos seem to believe in Melvin Gordon, who was a Cowboys fan at one point in time, wore a Cowboys shirt, I think it was on SVP back then. But so the Cowboys paid a running back and they paid an off-the-ball linebacker in Jalen Smith, who's a fantastic story, and they paid a right tackle. And those are important positions, certainly in the grand scheme of football. But you would have thought that a year ago when Dak Prescott, Amari Cooper, and Byron Jones were all eligible for contract extensions, that maybe those positions like, quarterback and number one receiver and cornerback would have been prioritized, but they weren't. And I think it's worth bringing up, certainly like you did, that Zeke kind of strong-armed them. And the Cowboys generally lose these battles. Whenever they're put, in a staring contest, they blink first. DeMarcus Lawrence is somebody they paid last year, and that certainly made a lot of sense. He's a powerful edge rusher and somebody that really impacts their defense. But DeMarcus Lawrence, people kind of forget, needed shoulder surgery last offseason, and he threatened not to have it until he got an extension, which would have delayed him playing for them. And so they blinked and they paid him. Zeke Elliott obviously held out, and they took things up to the 11th hour and they blinked and they paid him. And so I think it's just a matter of, they tried to ride that wave. I think that they had Dak Prescott. They were very fortunate to have him on cheap money as a 4th-round pick. And so they tried to figure it out. And I think, I've never run an NFL team, but it must suck paying a quarterback because that's a lot of money. And I think they've just tried to put it off. I mean, I've been working from home, and there's 6 light bulbs in my house that since day one I've had to change, and I haven't, just because I've put it off.
Right.
And I think it's something like that, just kind of, this will be okay, we'll figure it out, and then the day comes and you haven't done it.
Right.
And I think they also, it's worth mentioning, have shown an inability to forecast and an inability to read what the market will become. Because if they had that ability, they would have paid Dak a year ago. Because if they paid Dak a year ago, they'd have him for $33 million a year. And that would look like nothing right now. And that's what, whenever he gets his deal, it will look like a year or 2 years from now.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's the thing, too. It's like we sat here, Chris and I, and I even said it a couple weeks ago. I kept banging my head against the wall. I'm like, okay, Zeke threw a fit, got his money. Amari was like, hey, I'd like to stay, but I could leave if you want. No, we'll pay you the money. And the guy that had 4,900 freaking passing yards is the guy that isn't getting paid. And it just didn't seem very Jerry Jones-like. It didn't seem very Steve. It just didn't seem the way they've operated in the past. But again, like you said, they blinked and these guys won. Okay, so draft time. Draft time comes up. Where do you think that the Cowboys need to go in this draft? What are the most important positions they need to probably go out, scout, and grab?
Positionally, they certainly have to address their secondary. I mentioned Byron Jones. They obviously lost him to the Miami Dolphins in free agency. They also lost Robert Quinn, who accounted for 11.5 sacks last season for them, now a member of the Chicago Bears. Their defense as a whole needs a lot of work. And
Sure.
I think that's generally the case when you've got a running back making $90 million, a receiver making $20 a year, and a quarterback who's soon going to hit bank as well. Plus, they also extended Blake Jarwin, who's now the starting tight end with Jason Witten as a member of the Las Vegas Raiders. So their offense is seemingly taken care of, but their defense needs a lot of work. And in terms of specific positions, they have the 17th overall pick. And if that was spent on, arbitrarily on a cornerback, on a safety, on a defensive end, I think that's a hit, or at least theoretically that's the right way to spend it. And I think ultimately, though, if you look at the names that they're kind of being associated with, K'Lavon Chaisson from LSU, Christian Fulton from LSU, Trayvon Diggs from Alabama, all these guys, I think that there might be room for them to trade back. And I think that that's ultimately, trying to get greedy, what I would like to see them do. If last time they traded back was in 2013. They jumped back to 31 with the San Francisco 49ers, where they landed Travis Frederick, who poetically, I suppose, retired this offseason. And so I think that's the move. I think right now they've only got 3 picks inside the top 100. They need to get another one because, they're very, very top heavy. If all 22 starters stayed healthy for them the entire season, they'd be okay. But the reality of football is that's just not going to happen. So they need to get some depth and role players, and you got to get more picks in order to do that.
You had an article in there that said that the Cowboys are favored 10 of their 16 games for the 2020 NFL season. Do you stand by that? Do you think that they're probably going to be somewhere within that 10 to 11 wins? Where do you see them with the current roster that they have now?
Yeah, I think 8.5. I know that's a weird way to put it. Is their floor 8.5 wins? This is a team that, since 2011 has won less than 8 games once. And that was in 2015 when Tony Romo was hurt for a majority of the season. Other than that, obviously 8 has literally been their floor in a lot of instances and their ceiling. But I think that's, they're fortunate that they'll get 4 games against the Giants and Redskins. And those are kind of easy to pile up. They'll probably split the series with the Eagles. They play the AFC North this season. And I think that's another interesting point. Obviously so much of our world is uncertain at this moment. And I know, it's been discussed that the NFL is looking into a potentially shortened season and whatnot. And just thinking about, if you had to cut down to 12 games, what's the best way to do it? And to me, it's to get rid of your interconference games. And while I would love to see the Cowboys play the Steelers, I was actually at the game in Pittsburgh in 2016, the great Dak and Zeke show up. But I mean, if you look at those games, for example, I mean, I would honestly assume the Cowboys lose to the Browns just because maybe Cleveland's a little bit, spunkier this season, and the Cowboys always kind of drop a game like that. Sure. Obviously, Pittsburgh's going to be back. I bet they lose to Baltimore. If you told me they had to play 12 games and got rid of those, I mean, I think I kind of like those odds. But I think 10 wins is right about it. I mean, and with an added wild card spot, I mean,
right,
as it currently is, I think 10's enough to get in. But I think that the pressure, is going to, and I don't know, Mike McCarthy's job isn't in danger or anything, but if they're just a wild card team and, they go up to Seattle or San Francisco or whatever and just get bounced, I mean, I don't know that that's enough. And I think that, that would be pretty disappointing given a lot of people still believe this is a Super Bowl caliber type roster, at least in terms of talent.
Right.
Come on, RJ.
On paper.
8.5 games. Come on. The Cowboys fall asleep in the middle of the season. So if we go to 12, they might get to 8. That'd be good. 8-4, right?
Yeah, I mean, if it's a 12-game season, I mean, and they win 8 games, I mean, people are suddenly going to be celebrating 8 wins in a whole different way.
Right.
That's, the reality is, I mean, the Cowboys and this subject is so frustrating to talk about, but they've been really, really, really average and mediocre for a long time. I mean,
yeah.
The last time the Cowboys won a Super Bowl, to stick with the Colorado theme, John Elway didn't have a Super Bowl of any kind, and he's won 2 as a player and retired and is a Hall of Famer and began a different career and won and built his own Super Bowl.
Twice. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like it's just, the last time the Cowboys won a Super Bowl, Marvin Harrison was in college. I mean, there's a number of ways you can put it that are frustrating and sad. And, this week on my podcast, we revisited some of the greatest Cowboys teams that didn't win the Super Bowl. And I think most people lean back to, in terms of recent memory, 2007. That was Romo's first full year, Wade Phillips' first year. They went 13-3, and that was the year, obviously, the Giants bounced them before they won the Super Bowl themselves.
So, RJ, last thing for you. Also, I want to tell you, when I was a kid, every time we played ball in the front yard, I was either Billy Sims or Robert Newhouse.
Nice.
But the last thing for me on the Dak thing, the frustrating thing from looking here in Denver, there's plenty of teams out there that would love to have the problem of having to pay a quarterback. The Broncos are hoping Drew Lock gets there, but we don't know. I mean, it's been a dumpster fire everywhere in the NFL. If you don't have that guy, you want that guy. And the fact that they're just messing around with Dak, for me on the outside looking in, if I'm Dak and I don't really love Dallas, I just play this thing out and do Kirk Cousins, just get paid, and then peace out.
That's a great point of leverage, I think, that Dak certainly has. And I think you should talk to a lot of our readers and followers, because the conversation always becomes, well, who would pay Dak? I mean, who would pay him? Who would? Yeah. And that's the
lots of teams.
Exactly. And you're right. I mean, I mentioned John Elway. I'm a believer that John, and I know I'm not like a visionary in this, that he certainly struggles to evaluate quarterbacks.
Sure.
And I certainly think that Denver, I think Miami, I think a lot of teams would love to have Dak Prescott. But you're right. I mean, you mentioned Kirk Cousins. It's very, very rare that a quarterback gets tagged, in general. But specifically to have it happen twice, if it were to go down that road and then have him, stay with the team. I think Drew Brees is the only example with the New Orleans Saints, but that's kind of a special niche thing. Yeah, I mean, if I'm Dak, look, Dak already kind of did that. He played on the final year of his rookie deal, had the best season of his career so far, and I mean, he's got every point of leverage, and that's the reality of it.
He is RJ Ochoa. He is the manager and editor-in-chief at bloggingtheboys.com. Make sure you go over and check out some of the great stuff he's got going on over there. RJ, thanks for taking the time, buddy. We appreciate you.
Thanks a lot, guys. Be well.
You too. All right, there you go. All right, y'all, stick around. We kind of went way past our mark, so we got to pay some bills and play some of these ads. So y'all keep it locked. Sports Guy Mike Show. Don't go nowhere.
Adult Youth Swanson Counseling is a licensed and accredited OBH treatment facility providing people services in the criminal justice system for over 6 years. Adult Youth Swanson Counseling is located on 1826 East Platte, on the corner of Platte and Union, where the counselors are not only licensed and accredited, but also have life experience. They offer court-ordered DUI classes and any mandated court-ordered treatment. Use the promo code RADIO and pay only $20 for your initial intake fee for level 2. Adult Youth Swanson Counseling, where we help you feel better so you can get better and live a successful
Are
life.
you a first-time home buyer having trouble finding the right realtor that fits your needs? Well, look no further. Call Brandy Mendones with Keller Williams Clients Choice Realty at 719-291-4678. Take a journey into real estate with a top-notch company and a top-notch hands-on realtor that has your real estate success in mind.
I've been in the Colorado Springs area for 14 years, and I love experiencing everything the beautiful state of Colorado has to offer. I've raised my children here and would love to help you find your next home in Southern Colorado.
Call Brandy at 719-291-4678 with Keller Williams Clients Choice Realty, where
home and happiness happen.
Having car problems? Maintenance coming up on your vehicle? Don't gamble your money away at other mechanic shops. Come to All Service Auto. At All Service Auto, you get the quality workmanship and parts that you demand. Professionals at All Service Auto strive to make your experience the best you've ever had, from beginning to end. Everything from engine replacements to tire rotations. All Service Auto can get your vehicle back on the road and driving like you want it. No job is too big or too small. All Service Auto works on all makes and models, making them your one-stop mechanic shop with affordable prices and customer service that is leaps and bounds above the rest. Make your first choice All Service Auto, located at 3455 Shelton Loop, right near the intersection of Platt and Shelton. Call to set up your next appointment at 719-573-0292. Taking care of vehicles and the people who drive them. All Service Auto. Call now, 719-573-0292. All Service Auto.
due to recent events with COVID-19, Liberty Tax now can do your tax return remotely. Give them a call at 866-871-1040 or visit them online at libertytax.com. Type in your zip code to find your nearest Liberty Tax office today. That's 866-871-1040. Liberty Tax, where you do life, they do taxes.
When you bring your taxes to Liberty Tax, we'll handle it. No matter what you throw at us, no matter what you need, no matter what. And we're so confident we'll do a great job. You'll want to bring us your friends, your family, your loved ones, your neighbors, your co-workers. You may even want to bring us everyone in the world. But please don't. We're not staffed for that. Liberty Tax. Bring it. We'll handle it.
Hey, Bill, sorry to hear about your car accident. How are you doing?
Not good, Mary. My neck is killing me.
Have you found an attorney for your claim yet?
You know, I went to one of those guys that you see on TV all the time, and they said my claim was too small.
You need to call McDowell Law Firm. No claim is too big or too small. They specialize in criminal defense, DUI defense, and of course, personal injury.
I need that number.
You can call them at 719-227-0022. That's McDowell Law Firm at 719-227-0022 or online at McDowellFirm.com.
Thanks, Mary. I'm going to call him right now.
Blaze one for the nation.
KCBR AM Monument. K253AH Colorado Springs.
It's crazy, you heard me?
The new Blazin' 98.5.
Does going to the grocery store these days cause you undue stress and anguish? Well, say goodbye to those feelings of angst with the Grocery Suit 1000. Made from German pervious 18mm Kevlar reinforced stainless steel, this virus-proof bunker you can wear is guaranteed to put the joy back into shopping. Right down to the cool voice modulator built into the Lexan shielded helmet, protecting your nose and mouth.
Excuse me, sir. Can you tell me where I can find the mixed nuts?
And when other shoppers hear you coming in those titanium-enhanced boots, maintaining acceptable social distance will be easy peasy. The Grocery Suit 1000. Available at quality online retailers now. Order now and get a free 6-pack of toilet paper.
The Grocery Suit 1000. Gotta love that. Sports Guy Mike Show. KCBR 98.5, 95.7, AM 1040. And online at sportsguymike.com. You can also check us out after the show over at Sportscaster. Sports Guy Mike. Chris Braden hanging out with you on a Thursday. Good stuff by RJ Ochoa, man.
Did you mute me? Because I said Sportscaster.
Sportscaster. No, I didn't
Mike,
mute you.
I have to go to. Yeah, you did.
Did I?
That's okay. Yeah, it was really pink over here, and I was like, I'm not hearing my voice. I have to go to Costco today.
Oh,
so everyone out there, just like light a candle for me, or just say a quick prayer, man. I'd really appreciate it.
I'm with you, brother. I'll be honest. When we need something from the store, you know how we do it?
Order it.
Well, that, and the wife goes after she gets off work, so she's already masked up.
Yeah.
She just came from the hospital. It's easier. I don't have to
leave the gloves on.
Sometimes she does, but you have to understand, that the whole glove thing,
Yeah.
it kind of doesn't work.
Yeah, I have a bunch of doctor friends too. They're like, you're going to be like feeling safe, but then you'll touch your face with the gloves and stuff.
Correct.
But I also want to say this PSA.
Okay.
How many gloves have you seen in parking lots now? Come on, man.
Oh my God, dude.
Do
I
not
know.
leave your Corona gloves all over the parking lot, man. It's just gross. Same thing with your little toothpicks, people. You know those little toothpicks that have floss on them? Dude, I think it sticks in my craw because I see them everywhere, and it just drives me nuts, man.
Dude, first of all, I hate when people litter to begin with.
Amen. We live in Colorado.
I'm right.
One of the most beautiful places on earth.
Why are you throwing your rubber Corona-ridden virus gloves on the floor? Lovely.
Yeah, just don't do it, man.
Yeah.
Let's just be good to each other, right, Mike? And that includes Mother Nature.
Yes, exactly.
It's here for us. Look, it's going to be pretty today. We can go out and walk in the non-snow sidewalks today.
Yeah, well, don't get too excited though, because around 2 a.m. it's supposed to freaking snow.
Yeah, no, but those
our favorite thing in the world.
The Phoenix are still waiting on my Frontier app right now.
All right. Amid uncertainty surrounding the coronavirus pandemic, Courtney Cronin reported that the Minnesota Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins remains hopeful that he'll be playing football games this fall. Now, he thinks that for some reason, playing football without pomp and circumstance could be, his words, refreshing. Now, is that something that you want to hear from the quarterbacks? Doesn't that, now, if you're a Minnesota Vikings fan, doesn't that kind of make you feel crappy that your quarterback is like, so if the fans aren't here, no problem. It'll be refreshing.
No, in fact, for me, it's disgusting. And I think for me, that says everything I've ever thought about Kirk Cousins. Has all the talent, not very competitive. I wouldn't want him on my team. And I just think that he puts up hollow numbers, and it's been proven out in the playoffs. The fact that he finally won one last year, come on, it's not telling me nothing. I am the least, man, like for me, Kirk Cousins is the epitome. When I knew we were going to talk about this, I pulled this up. Do you know what his record is as a pro? 44, 42, and 2. That's literally like 52%. Hey, let's go to another guy that doesn't have a job yet, right? So Kirk Cousins, what did he get here in 2012 or something? Cam Newton, I think, came in 11. This is not cooperating with me. But Cam Newton, he's got so Kirk Cousins' percentage of completions is, this is crazy, 66.9.
Okay.
Cam Newton's is 59.6. So Kirk Cousins completes more, but his record is 68, 55, and 1.
Right. Yeah.
Who do you want? Who do you want leading your team?
Oh, I'll take. Look, you and I both agree on the whole Cam Newton thing. The fact that he was screwed over by the Panthers, let go way too late. Oh, it's almost like ownership did it on purpose. And I don't know why you would screw over the guy that's been there for 9 years, brought you to a Super Bowl, put you back on the map, put you back in the conversation. Let's not even talk about, McCaffrey. We already know what he did, but you treated your number one guy like utter crap. I think the guy has personal issues. I really do.
Yeah, he's crazy.
Yeah, he is definitely, what they say, cray or whatever. You got to plug your mic back in. There is definitely something wrong with him, and I've seen it firsthand, what he's been doing in the offseason, kind of his, off gaze stare into nothingness, but he's still such a solid quarterback. And the fact that nobody's reached out to him is absolutely mind-blowing. Now, Can't hear you, buddy.
I'll fix this.
Okay. Oh yeah, now you're in the echo chamber, baby. Oh, now you're nothing. So, keep going. We'll move on to the next Vikings story, which has to do with, believe it or not, Odell Beckham Jr. Now, Mark Molasses over at WFAN in New York, one of the top local radio stations in the country, has tweeted this, quote, source has told me that the Browns and Vikings are in discussion on a trade that would send Odell Beckham Jr. to the Vikings for a 2nd and 5th round pick next year. Trade is not done, but the deal is being discussed, end quote. Thoughts on that? Are you in? Nope, you're still not in, dude. Hold on. Let me see what's going on. How about? Oh, I'm trying to unmute you. Now go. There you go. Turn yourself up a little bit.
You know what, man? If you're the Vikings, for me, why you let your guy go and then go trade for another guy? Like, come on. Man.
Yeah. Well, you talking about Stephon Diggs?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was stupid. So you let Stephon Diggs go. You have what they consider a holy grail wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
You let him go, and now you're gonna try to bring in OBJ. What? Look, I'll be honest with you. I'm a big fan of Stephon Diggs. When this went down, I don't know if Mike Zimmer was just not in the room when this went down.
Right.
Was this above his pay grade, and they just did it without his consent? I don't understand how Zim would have let this go down. It was very peculiar to me. It's another, some more boots on the ground in Minnesota that we have to get to the bottom of, because I want to know why that went down.
Well, when they're going to bring Kirk Cousins another weapon, what that tells me is they don't really believe in him.
Right.
Like, they're afraid too. You know what I'm saying? Like,
they paid that guy a lot of money, Chris.
Yeah, I know, man. It was dumb too.
A lot of freaking money, dude.
I'm not going to call him a loser. I'm going to call him mediocre. Like, he's
he is
good. Like,
that
he's
is the
good.
Perfect word for him. If you're okay with being in the middle of the road as a franchise and maybe getting into the playoffs occasionally and maybe winning a playoff game occasionally, Kirk Cousins is your guy.
Well, and that's the cool thing about the Broncos. Either they're doing pretty good or it's a dumpster fire. We got something to talk about either way.
And that's another thing. I was going to bring this up, but you kind of segue right into it. Being a Bronco fan, and obviously, we've talked, I talk to writers and reporters and stuff like that all the time, but you're what I consider that fan that you're the fan that doesn't mince words. You're like me. If the Steelers are horrible, they're horrible, and I will call them out, and I don't sugarcoat it. It is what it is, because at the end of the day, I'm still a football guy. I'm not just a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. So with Denver, Chris, at what point does the quarterback thing stop? Bringing in guys that are uber talented, you're not treating that, you're not helping them with getting better, with cultivating quarterbacks. Why is that such a problem in Denver when you have a GM that's a Hall of Fame quarterback?
But it's funny because you're absolutely right. John Elway, have you ever met somebody that's just like really good at what they do and they couldn't teach it? They don't understand it.
Sure.
Because they're innately are that. Like Michael Jordan would be a horrible coach.
Correct. I agree.
But if you were a good player and you watched him, you could learn that way.
Sure.
I think John Elway's the same thing. I think he looks for all these guys, and he's not going to find a guy with the cannon arm that can move around like he did, that had the brains. Like, that's unique.
Right.
So I think bringing Flacco in was a mistake, and they've made a few mistakes along the way. When they brought him in, I almost gave him back my season tickets because I had watched the Ravens for a while. But for me, I think really now they got a guy that I think they liked Locke, but I think they were a bit afraid of him. And what I mean by that is that he's got personality and he's willing to go out there. And I think just the way they did him last year, where they wouldn't bring him back, they didn't want to play him, and then he comes in and he plays well. They're like, holy cow, man, we basically piled dirt on this guy for the season, and he comes out and he wins us ball games. Now we're like in. Now,
Right.
So now, like at least this year, that's your guy, right? And that's all you can really do. You can just be like, okay, this year, how's this going? And then the next year, and we're all hoping that it ends up being okay, but we don't know. But I will tell you this, as a season ticket holder, I put my hard-earned money out there to watch these games. The fact that he's out there playing is worth my money. It's enjoyable to watch, win or lose. Obviously, you hope to win, but it's enjoyable to watch. You'll play.
He's a talented kid. I wish him the best. I hope you guys have finally found your guy that can be cultivated.
Dude, that kid for me, man, it's worth every penny. Like,
he's great to watch, man.
Yeah.
He really is great to watch. I thoroughly enjoyed watching him last year for sure. Speaking of quarterbacks, of course, the NFL draft is coming up next week. And, there's 1,000 mock drafts. And I have to say, this is the first year that I have not really sat down and done a mock draft. So over the weekend, I am going to come up with my mock draft. Mm-hmm. But there are a lot of guys out there, NFL Network, ESPN, CBS, all these guys. And, of course, most of them have Joe Burrow going first.
Rightly so.
Most of them have Chase Young going second. So if you had to put your finger on how many of these quarterbacks are going to go in the first round, because you got to remember, so we have Joe Burrow. We know he's going. Tua Tagovailoa is just a matter of where he's going to go. You have Justin Herbert, who I quite honestly think is going to be the biggest surprise of this draft. I think a lot of people are wanting to vest in Justin. I think they like what they saw. I like him because he reminds me of Ben Roethlisberger. He reminds me of a tall, lanky Miami of Ohio quarterback with a big arm, can scramble out of the pocket. This kid, Justin Herbert, I think is going to be an amazing NFL quarterback with the proper coaching. I hate to use he's got to have a good coach and a great system. It's not the system. I think he's got to have a coach that understands who he is and what he's capable of.
So, Mike, you don't know this, but my future son-in-law is friends with Justin Herbert's brother. And so he's friends with Justin. So he went around the country. He's a Duck fan. They're from Oregon too.
Sure.
And so he went to the Arizona State loss. He went to the Rose Bowl. He did all that. You hit the nail on the head when it comes to him. He is such a solid kid all the way around. And the only way he's going to fail, it won't be for talent or want to. It would be him going to somewhere like the Bengals.
Right.
And you're absolutely right about him. He's going to have a successful NFL career if he gets into the right place. But like you were talking about on the show sheet, how many are going in the first round? Minimum of 4. Love's going to get picked. Like probably top 15. You know what? There could be.
I like Jordan Love.
I like him okay too, but like, let's be honest. It's a Mountain West.
I know. And that was the first thing I thought of when everybody was like, oh my God. And I'm like, okay, everybody pump your brakes. But keep this in mind too. Look at Josh Allen. I was a huge fan of his. Mm-hmm. He played out in Wyoming. People are like, oh, he's got a cannon arm, but he throws picks. Here's the thing about Josh Allen.
Guy.
I know. But, they're completely two different skill sets too.
Sure.
Josh Allen, I don't want him running down the field. Believe me. Jordan Love, go for it.
Sure.
But
unless you're a first round pick, then you don't want him to do that.
Right. So I absolutely think we're going to have at least 4 of these quarterbacks. But out of all these quarterbacks, because I always have this discussion every year when there's a plethora of quarterbacks going so high and are so valued in these picks, out of all of these guys, who do you like the best? If you were drafting for your team, out of those 4 guys, who would you want?
So I got to go Burrow number 1. It was like a historic senior year he had, and he showed everything. And what I really love about him, besides all his skill set, is his swag. And what I mean by that is that if he does go to Cincinnati, which, God forbid, he can handle it.
Right.
He'll be able to handle it. For me, I like Tua a lot. Don't get me wrong. I'm going Herbert. I'm going Herbert number 2. He's proven. He's healthy. And you can work with that. Tua, I'm just really terrified of the way he
That
plays.
hip.
Yeah, just the hip. And he basically got the same thing Bo Jackson did. Yeah, yes, it's 30 years later, and medical science has made
Completely
some moves
different.
on that. But what's his first instinct? He loves to like get out of the pocket. Let's say Bradley Chubb, or you just pick the guy is running him down. He's not going to run away from that guy.
No.
So like I'm a little terrified of that, but yeah, does he have top 5, should he be a top 5 pick? Yeah. But for me, I'm looking for 10 years.
Right, sure.
That's it.
Right.
And I like Herbert.
You want that franchise quarterback because they're so hard to find, man.
Sure.
They just really are. And and not because I compared him to Ben, but if Pittsburgh could, it's impossible for them to do it, but I was just like, in his senior last year, I was just like, man, if Pittsburgh could figure out a way to get Justin Herbert on that roster and sit behind Ben Roethlisberger for a year, my God, we could literally, and they talk about having the second coming of players.
Right.
This kid could honestly be the second coming of a Ben Roethlisberger. He's that guy that you could have tenure with that'll get you to the playoffs. That is the right system for a guy like him, because the guy that he would be taking over for, they're so scarily similar that it would be in his benefit, but we all know that's not going to happen.
So, Mike, I want to take you down a rabbit hole with this number 2 pick. So, the draft numbers, draft projections, I think Bradley Chubb and Chase Young were pretty similar. In fact, I think maybe Bradley Chubb might have been a point higher depending on who you look at. What are the Redskins thinking sitting there at 2 when they need so much right now of not trading out of it or taking Tua? Because I think Chase Young is a great player. There's absolutely zero doubt about that. But the impact that he'll have for the Redskins,
it's going to be minimal right now.
Right. Exactly.
This is a guy that you can't build around Chase Young. You know what I mean? Just like, when, I'll give you the perfect example. When they brought in, when Pittsburgh brought in Bud Dupree, people were just like, wow, what a guy from Kentucky. You watch this guy's tape and you're like, holy cow.
Good. Yeah.
But you put him with other players. Washington doesn't have any other players to put Chase Young with.
No.
That's why it's such a bad idea. In my opinion, anyway. I agree with you 100%. Look, Dwayne Haskins seems to be a great guy. He's got a lot of talent, a lot of upside to him, but either trade out of that number 2 or you guys need to take Tua Tagovailoa, period.
I agree with you 100%. And I think the thing about these edge rushers, the Broncos had Von Miller, and in his heyday was one of the best edge rushers that's still really good.
Sure.
They couldn't build around him. So you're going to sit here and tell me that Chase Young is going to be better than Von Miller? Maybe. I mean, that's a high bar. That's a high bar.
But I'm going to tell you, man, watching this kid at Ohio State, I'm going to tell you, he is an impact player immediately.
Sure.
He is NFL ready. He's got the skill set. I mean, this is
doubled by NFL linemen is a little different than getting doubled by college kids.
I completely agree with you, but this is a once in a lifetime type of defensive player. He just is. Now whether or not, like we've talked about, it's that system. It's the coaching. People talk about system. It's not about system for me.
No.
It's about the coach, because the coach can change the system at any given time. Hey, look, we're going to do this. We're going to manipulate the way we do this now because of this player, because he's so good. We're going to have to do some changing. So I don't want to hear about this system. It drives me nuts when I go, when I hear people say, well, if he's put in the right system. No, if he's put with the right coach that knows what kind of system that this unbelievable player needs to be in. Joe Burrow is that guy as well. It's like, with Tom Brady going to Tampa is another great example. You honestly think Bruce Arians going to go, yeah, we're going to air the ball out? No, he's going to go, Tom, what do you like to do?
Yeah,
what do you want to
do? I think the thing about Chase Young too is I think Ron Rivera is salivating at that. But when the Broncos got good, they had Shaq Barrett. They brought in DeMarcus Ware. They had multiples, and they're not going to have that in Washington for a while, and so they're not going to be able to do it. I agree with you. It's like when Peyton Manning came here and Peyton Manning was putting up Star Wars numbers, he was running Peyton Manning's offense.
Right.
But when he got under Kubiak, in fact, this made me despise. I don't like Gary Kubiak one bit because of what he did to Peyton Manning and what we had to watch that year. Yeah, it won a Super Bowl, but guess why you won a Super Bowl? One reason. Well, two, defense and Von Miller. And Peyton Manning just like guiding the offense. He could have done that all year long.
Right.
So like Gary Kubiak for me, man. I'm glad you're packing, bro.
Not your favorite guy, huh?
Dude.
All right.
It's Peyton Manning.
I know. I know, dude. All right, y'all. Thanks so much for hanging out with us and making us part of your day. A couple quick things about tomorrow. We'll definitely try to reel in someone from maybe the Minnesota side and find out what's going on over there. Let's do that. And Chris, you keep talking about this segment you want to do. So off air, we're gonna have to talk about it. We'll bring in a new segment that Chris Braden's gonna enlighten.
Are we gonna
us on.
workshop it? Is that what we're gonna do?
Yeah, we're gonna have to.
Is that the technical term?
Because I have no idea what you want to do. So we're gonna have to
part of it.
Work it out. Real quick, some sports and celebrity birthdays. Rico Suave, the original Geraldo, is 55 years old today, as well as very, very funny comedian Martin Lawrence turns 55. And along with that funny man, one of my favorite guys of all time, John Cryer, of course, from Pretty in Pink. And, of course, Alan Harper from 2.5 Men.
Ducky.
A Ducky, exactly. Who doesn't love that movie? But yeah, 2.5 Men. Jimmy Osmond is 57 years old today. The great Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Try to guess how old he is, Chris.
I will say 67.
That brother is 73
you shut
years
your
old.
Mouth. you know how he got there, right? Colorado got illegal here. Okay. Hey man.
Today is wear pajamas to work day. Not a hard thing for people to do in this day and age. 19 days until Teacher Appreciation Day, 24 days until Mother's Day, and 36 days until Memorial Day weekend. Chris, you got anything to say to the nice people before we get out of here?
No, man. Just thanks for having me. Everybody be safe and just go be awesome today. I mean,
there you go.
Bar high. Let's do it.
I like that. Today is also National High Five Day, so let's do a air high five. Bam. There you go. Today's National
People do the elbows.
Yeah, people do the elbows now. Nobody wants to fist bump anymore.
I'll do that, man.
Fist bump?
Yeah, I don't like the foot thing, man. Don't.
I'm not a fan of the elbow thing. I really don't.
That's
like
weird too, man. Because dude, your elbow's weird.
Yeah, I know. All right, y'all. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. Don't forget to check us out on social media at SportsGuyMike on Twitter, Instagram, of course, and on Facebook. Chris, how can they find you?
They can just find me on everything at Chris Braden Live.
There you go. All right, y'all. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel right here on KCBR, the Sports Guy Mike Show. And as I say around here all the time, don't sweat small stuff. Right here. See ya.
Hey, Bill, sorry to hear about your car accident. How are you doing?
Not good, Mary. My neck is killing me.
Have you found an attorney for your claim yet?
You know, I went to one of those guys that you see on TV all the time, and they said my claim was too small.
You need to call McDowell Law Firm. No claim is too big or too small. They specialize in criminal defense, DUI defense, and of course, personal injury.
I need that number.
You can call them at 719-227-0022. That's McDowell Law Firm at 719-227-0022 or online at McDowellFirm.com.
Thanks, Mary. I'm going to call him right now.
When you bring your taxes to Liberty Tax, we'll handle it. No matter what you throw at us, no matter what you need, no matter what. And we're so confident we'll do a great job. You'll want to bring us your friends, your family, your loved ones, your neighbors, your co-workers. You may even want to bring us everyone in the world. But please don't. We're not staffed for that. Liberty Tax. Bring it. We'll handle it.
Adult Youth Swanson Counseling is a licensed and accredited OBH treatment facility providing people services in the criminal justice system for over 6 years. Adult Youth Swanson Counseling is located on 1826 East Platte, on the corner of Platte and Union, where the counselors are not only licensed and accredited, but also have life experience. They offer court-ordered DUI classes and any mandated court-ordered treatment. Use the promo code RADIO and pay only $20 for your initial intake fee for level 2. Adult Youth Swanson Counseling, where we help you feel better so you can get better and live a successful life.
Blaze one for the nation.
KCBR AM Monument, K253 AH Colorado Springs.
It's crazy, you heard me?
The new Blazin' 98.5.